Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Out of Heroes, the brand new superhero podcast on the Out of Lives network. I'm Stuart, and today I'm joined by Alex.
Hiya.
And Scott.
Hello.
Before we get going, I need to just explain all this to you because it's brand new. Us three and maybe some other like randos that we find, we'll get together every week. We're going to talk about comics and all that shit that based on them lately, movies, TV, video games. We're doing the normal thing, sticking it out on audio, so if you prefer stuff just in your headphones, it's going to be on iTunes and every podcast service, I think, if all goes to plan. And we'll just post the whole show at once, hopefully at the beginning of the week. But if you're one of those kids who likes the video and you want to just watch us for some weird reason, we're going to split the show into 3 segments, starting with like a weekly roundup where we just review the week's a couple of books, TV shows that have been on, if a film's been out, etc. Give our impressions on that stuff, and then we'll have a news segment where we talk about the rumours that have come out that week and the news that's dropped. And then we'll finish off with a topic, which could be like a discussion, something that we think is interesting, or if something really big's come out, then we'll probably review that as a separate thing at the end because we want to yak on about it for 20 minutes instead of the normal 5. None of this is particularly groundbreaking. If you listen to any podcasts, you'll be quite at home with it. But for us, we're doing this video stuff that is quite experimental. So if I fuck it up, then I'm sorry. For the benefit that viewers will have over the listeners is that if we start talking about some cool set photos that have leaked, I can throw up an image on the screen and show you what we're talking about. And if, say, I decide that I want to ruin the ending of Batman vs Superman for you, I can just stick up a spoiler-filled video showing exactly what happens at the end of the film. But the trailer already did that, actually, so I don't need to in this case. If you're audio only, though, there's nothing essential you're going to be missing, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can, you actually have the benefit of not having to look at us for an hour, so you're probably better off just sticking with audio. The last thing to mention is we are a product of the Out of Lives network, so if you want to support us, head over to the website outoflives.net, check out the articles. There's loads of other podcasts that we do. Whatever sort of nerdy stuff you're into, there'll be something for you on there. Alright? I'm bored of myself now, so I think we'll actually start the show. Right. Chaps. It's a new era, DC Comics, and well, another new era. I feel like we've only just finished the last one. Rebirth is happening. What do you think of it so far?
Alex, I'll pass it to you. It's good. It's good. I've never got on with DC Comics before. I've mostly been a Marvel reader. I tried to pick it up at Convergence last year and it didn't quite work. So Rebirth's a really good place for me to pick it up. I'm enjoying reading the books, picking up the backstory as well, particularly with the Rebirth issues before the issue 1s. And yeah, it's what I've been looking for a while because it's pretty daunting coming into a publisher like DC completely clean.
Yeah.
You, Scott?
I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, Flashpoint caused the New 52. Then I didn't read much of the New 52. And then Convergence last year, I gave it a try, and I was like, I don't care about any of this. I'll just be honest, but Flashpoint's really grabbed me, and the issues we're going to talk about today were really good. And Green Lanterns was also really cool. So that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, the actual... For me, 52, the New 52 stuff was kind of hit or miss. Some of it I really liked, but I feel like they kind of jettisoned a lot of the stuff in DC Comics that I was interested in. I think a lot of fans ended up feeling that way. But it was great for new readers because they didn't know any of this shit and they kind of needed to understand a lot of the nuance of the stories they were telling. So, I mean, it's a really hard balance to strike in a serialized medium. where you want to appeal to old and new readers. It's just the challenge that we're constantly having to rethink the approach to. Rebirth, the one shot, to me was exciting because it kind of did both things. It was like a merger of old and new, and it was Jeff Johns' last comic issue for the foreseeable future, and he's one of my favourite writers, and he did a great job of it. Did you guys both read like the one shot that he did with where Wally comes back? And
Yeah, and he's running around the town. Yeah, it was really good.
There was some good feel moments in there. That punched me in the heart a couple of times. But what do you think about the direction of integrating the Watchmen universe?
It's nice to see, because obviously, if you've listened to our last podcast, someone really likes Watchmen. Don't know who it is. Might be me. So it's really good to see that it's a part of it all now, and also the movie's still really good apart from the ending. I like Watchmen. I'm happy to see them in a bigger scheme of things.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's a good thing.
No exposure to Watchmen at all before.
Oh, you're missing out, dude.
I didn't even register for me. I've got such a backlog on stuff I'm reading at the moment. Can't think about going back to Watchmen just yet. But it is on my list of things to do.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely on the list.
I've got these mixed feelings about it. Like, I love Watchmen, but I know what Alan Moore will think about this, and he's probably just blood might start spurting out of his ears at any moment. But it is an exciting idea. The way they did it is, I thought, really weird. Like the badge. So Alex, for you and anyone who doesn't know about the Watchmen, the badge with the blood on it is like from the opening scene of the book, where the comedian kind of gets killed, and this badge that he wears comes loose, and it's got blood on it. It's like the imagery that starts the book off. But why that badge somehow became embedded in Batman's cave wall, I will never ever be able to comprehend. Because the only people that means anything to are the readers. It doesn't even mean anything to the people in the Watchmen, really.
Yeah.
Rorschach finds it on the floor, and it's like, oh right, the comedian's dead. But it's such a contrived way of winking at us. It just felt out of place. But everything else about it, I was kind of like, this could be really interesting. The sad thing is that the guy who masterminded it has fucked off to get to a better job working for DC Films. So how much and how well it's going to be executed now is a cause for speculation. So I'm kind of tentatively excited, I would probably say. What's your favourite books from it so far, Alex? Have you been reading much?
Yeah, I've read the majority of the Rebirth ones, and then working through the issue ones now. Really enjoyed the Arrow. Arrow, up until recently, has been one of the best shows for me to watch. And there's a nod there to the TV fans as well when the Canary show's back up again, which I really appreciated. You'll hear my views on that later on. But I did really, really enjoy it because it was back to... Because I started off watching the Arrow. I've never read any of the old comics. And it's like watching the first season of Arrow again. Obviously, it's different people. Yeah. Oliver doesn't have a beard, and the characters are completely different. But it's a nice hark back to how it should be in the TV show. And I enjoyed reading that. Cool.
And what's your favourite book so far, Scott? Did you mention Green Lantern earlier?
Green Lanterns was awesome. I like the Spectrum Wars they did. That was cool. I've always been a fan of Green Lantern. The idea of being like, I can put on a ring and make anything I want is really cool to me. And the movie wasn't so bad either. No, it was terrible. But what's really got me is the Flash. I really, really enjoyed Rebirth one of the Flash.
Wow, we'll get into that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I mean, Green Arrow is a smart one to try and align more with the TV show, because that's a great way to get new people on board, is show them something they're familiar with. Green Lantern has, I think, got a harder road ahead because there's so much mythology behind that series by now. I mean, Johns did it's about 7 years run on the book that was so it was so involved. It added so much to it, and then a team of other people. Who did that? But was it Vendetti, someone like that? They carried on doing other crazy shit, and I don't even know what's been going on for the last few years. So it's a bit continuity laden, that one. So if they've managed to start off well, then that's a good sign, because it's a book with a lot of potential. I mean, comics are all about doing things that you can't do in any other medium, being imaginative, and just, you know, the only limit you've got is the skill of your artist and the imagination of your writer. And Green Lantern's great because he can construct anything, you know, and it's in space. You can go any planet. It's like a limitless landscape. So it's always nice when that book is firing on all cylinders. So I'll probably have to check that one out myself.
Yeah, definitely.
The dichotomy they've set up between the two characters as well in the Lanterns is really good. You've got two quite polar characters working together, which is, it's looking promising for the future.
Good.
Quite interesting prospect.
Good. Shall we talk about the Flash then?
I think we really should.
Because
really should.
Yeah, this is one. Again, I've got some feelings, but really I want to hear some enthusiasm. So, who wants to go first?
If
you want enthusiasm, it's got to be Scott.
If you want me to talk about the Flash, yeah, okay. So this starts off really interesting as well. Actually, how it starts off with it throwing back to the whole Barry Allen origin, but then it's like, oh, Barry's here. He's not. He's the detective at the case, and it's bringing up all the memories of him. Has a really good way of introducing the character of Barry Allen.
Yeah.
As well. That one panel where he's running and it's got all of like these great events around him is cool. There's a lot of exposition, which for fans of The Flash, it's kind of like, yeah, I know. Your mum was murdered. Your dad.
That's it. It's another one of those alignments of TV and comics, because they stuck quite close to Barry's origin anyway. But when they kind of show you beat for beat the history of the character, you're like, yeah, I know. I've been watching the show for a couple of years, and this is exactly the same. So it's
a little bit like Uncle Ben with Spider-Man, seeing it over and over again.
Yeah. But obviously they don't labour on it, and you've got to give people what they need just in case they're brand new to it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stay on that for long, because then Wally appears, and then, because that's like, I mean, Wally's in the show now, but completely different Wally to what we get here, and then you get that beautiful full page of them both running together, and it's like, Wally brought me back, and it's like, yeah. So then people who aren't comic readers are just gonna be like, well, okay, this is something new. So if you watch the TV show and then you come into the comic, you're like, yeah, this is cool. Two speedsters. Then he goes and visits Batman. And you see the coin just floating there, the Watchmen coin, badge, as we've already mentioned, just there. It's like Batman's already working on it, and then you're getting hints of what's going on in this world. Obviously, there's a similar sort of murder going on. Eobard Thawne's still in prison, and then at the end, the two detectives are talking about Barry makes mistakes, and then you see the speedster shape thing at the end. So it's a really, really good issue to get into the Flash with. I mean, I'm really excited.
You touched on it there, like my feelings on it. There is a lot going on. You've got the basics of his history. You've got Wally West being back, and the fact that some people probably don't even know who that character was. You've got his dad. You've got his police work, and you've got the whole Watchmen thing and Batman. But then there's also a second Wally West, who is a black kid and is a different nephew of Iris's, I think. Like, they just happen to have two. Basically, a couple of years ago, they went, fans want Wally back. Let's give them a new Wally. And, comics want to be a bit more ethnically diverse, which all power to them, because they were made in like the 50s and 60s when apparently there were no black people. So they're trying to obviously right the course a little bit, but now they've got two, and I'm just looking at it thinking, what the fuck's going on?
It's
Like,
not confusing at all.
it's really a little bit weird, but so much of it is interesting, and I should probably mention that this book's written by Joshua Williamson, who he really seems to get the character, get the mythology, and knows what makes him interesting. The ideas that he threw out one in this issue was he's like the fastest man in the world, but he's always late. Like,
No, it's early, isn't it? Because he's at the theatre and he's ringing Iris.
Oh,
And she's like,
no,
it was
he can't.
it's tomorrow, Barry. You can even get early wrong.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah, but his whole like challenge is he can never be everywhere. I mean, he kind of can, but he can't. He still can't prevent things from happening, and the way he wrestles with that, and it just highlights these little interesting nuances of this character, the things that kind of get to him, and the things that drive him, and it's nice to see in an early issue that the writer really knows what he's doing. So that was great. Anything else you guys want to say? Like, what do you think of the art? I think it was Carmine, Giandomenico, I think, doing the art.
It's really good. I like it so far.
Yeah,
solid. Took a bit getting used to it first off, but then as soon as I was reading it and I saw that picture of them both running on the water, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
He's got kind of a scratchy style with his line work, and his characters don't always look like beautiful or whatever, but he puts a lot of energy into a page, and you need energy in a flash book because he's constantly sprinting everywhere. So he does that really well, and like you said, with the layouts, he's done some interesting things, and just bold kind of the when they were both running together, it just looked great. So yeah, I'm quite happy to see him. I've liked his stuff for a while. He used to be over at Marvel. So it's nice to see him getting some high profile projects, because I think this book's going to be on the stands for a while. With this,
I think when I was looking through it, when I was going through it, because I get it on digital, and there's a lot I missed out because of going digital. I don't know. I have no idea if I can set up Comixology to display 2 pages at once, but there was the centre of the book, issue 1, when it was clearly split across 2 pages. It was designed to be held open, and more experienced than read. And I'm definitely missed out on that. I really like the artwork. I think, like you say, it adds a hell of a lot of energy to what he's doing. Really shows up.
This is a weird thing to notice as well, but he's really good at lightning.
Pretty useful, yeah.
Yeah. He did another book with Marvel. I can't remember what it was. Thor was in it, and it was like, I noticed it there. I was like, your lightning's awesome, and then put him on the Flash. And it's like, yeah, that suits. I like that. So the other book we read this week was Wonder Woman 1 by Greg Rucka, and this one is by Liam Sharp. I don't know if you guys know the way they're going to break this series up, because the bigger books that DC had putting out are going to be twice monthly. And obviously an artist can't draw 2 books in a month, so they split in the duties on art on these titles, and a lot of them are going like, you do the first arc, I'll do the second arc, and they're just having to plan ahead. But
right, okay.
Rucka's being quite clever, and he's doing 2 parallel stories that alternate every 2 weeks. So we get a present day story about Diana trying to find the truth, and we get a past story about her in the old Amazonian days, probably going to be sort of revealing the secrets of whatever the truth actually is before she knows it, which just sounds brilliant. Like having those 2 plot lines that will hopefully eventually merge together really cleverly. So he's splitting up the art duties for that. This modern day story has been handled by Liam Sharp. Alex, what did you think of this one?
I have no experience whatsoever with Wonder Woman before reading this Rebirth set. Interesting. There's a lot to look forward to in it. Most striking was probably the art style. It was really, really attractive to look at. Really, really nice looking book. definitely stood out as one of the better ones this week. And yeah, there's a lot to be going on with the story. But again, like I say, it's learning about the character as well. Whereas Flash gave you a lot of introduction as well, which ironically I've seen the TV show, so I didn't need it for that one.
Yeah.
What I could have done with here was a little bit more introduction into who Wonder Woman is.
Yeah, well, this is the whole thing. It's a real challenge because Rucka's done Wonder Woman before. He did quite a big run before Infinite Crisis, which I think was like back in 2006, and it got caught short. He got like kind of bumped off a bit unceremoniously because he wanted to go in a direction that didn't fit editorial, and he never really got to finish what he was doing. But his Wonder Woman was quite different to the one that came up in New 52, where Brian Azzarello did an amazing run, but he changed the origin of the character. She used to be a person who was made out of clay by her mum because she wanted a kid. So you just make one out of clay, and
as you do.
But in Azzarello's run, she finds out she's actually the bastard daughter of Zeus. And every few years, Zeus just takes mortal form, goes around knobbing people, and he's got a load of illegitimate offspring, and she's one of them, and she becomes like the god of, I think, god of war, and it changed things so much that Rucka's now come on board, and he's like, right, well, this is interesting. I've got all these different versions of the character, and we need to resolve it somehow. So this is why it's all about the conspiracy and of the mythology and getting to what the true version of Wonder Woman is. I mean, Scott, have you ever like read Wonder Woman before? Do you know much about
There's a few stories that I've read, but I mainly know her from Justice League titles and stuff like that. Like, I've never gone out specifically to read Wonder Woman, if that makes sense. But here I have, because obviously you told me to pick it up. But, no, like, I am a fan of Wonder Woman as a character. Like, I like her and Superman, that dynamic. I do like that. And obviously in the Justice League cartoon, Justice League Unlimited and stuff, she was awesome in that. Like, so it's not as if it's just the major titles for Wonder Woman I haven't read, but I have heard good things about Azzarello's run, and they do make note of the origin story with that nice little "Am I this, or even a child?"
Yeah.
And it's like that was a cool little thing to see at the start. But like Alex said, I would have liked more introduction into Wonder Woman for issue 1 of a relaunching of your comics.
I think the next issue might be good for you then, because it's the first of the prequel.
Yeah.
And you'll get down to the basics of her, I think. But really, all you need to know is she's a warrior princess, and she's more of a warrior than a lot of than Batman and Superman. My favourite Wonder Woman moment was during Infinite Crisis. I don't know if you guys have read this, so spoilers for a 10-year-old story, but she lassos this guy who is called Maxwell Lord, and he's telepathically controlling Superman and making him kill Batman. So Superman is basically under the whims of some madman who is just going to use him as a weapon. And so she chucks the lasso on him, and she says, how do I stop you? And he goes, kill me. Like, that's basically the only way, because otherwise he's just going to carry on doing what he's doing. So she just fucking necks him. and Batman, who has basically just had his life saved by her, he does not appreciate killing, but she did saved his life. And Superman is also like, well, I'm glad that I'm no longer being controlled by a psycho, but you did just kill that guy. And it was on live TV, and the whole world sees this happen. And Wonder Woman's like, no bullshit about it. She's like, yeah, well, fuck it. He needed to die. Like, that was just how it is. And I just love that, warrior attitude of her. She's so no nonsense. She just does what needs to be done. She's a brilliant character. And Rucka is one of my favourite writers. And seeing him come back to DC 10 years later to hopefully, finish what he wanted to say about this character is really exciting. So I want you to continue with this story with me. And in a couple of weeks we'll talk about the next issue.
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
I'm up for that.
Cool.
You said that was Maxwell Lord in your favourite bit then, yeah?
Yeah.
He's the ever-standing sort of antagonist of Supergirl. I know you've not watched any of that yet,
No.
but he's rocked up in Supergirl, and I think he's going to be like Lex Luthor was in Smallville.
Yeah,
But
I can see that.
I mean, I don't know him from the books, but it's an interesting character in Supergirl. I like that.
Yeah, he's a pretty dodgy fella. You want to watch out for him. So that's it for comics. You want to talk about some TV stuff?
Yeah, I want that.
So,
Can do.
We had a couple of shows drop in the last few weeks. About the only things we've got going that's comic book related at the minute. Both brand new. Both are just a few episodes in. The first one we want to talk about is The Preacher, which is an adaptation of Garth Ennis's and Steve Dillon's much loved comic book series. Do you two have any experience with Preacher as a comic book?
Yeah, I've read the first volume thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read that, but then I just never had a chance to pick it up again. It's the same with Saga as well. I've got to stop doing that. Read the first volume and then it's like, I've got other stuff to do.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, if something doesn't grab you and compel you to continue, then that's just how it is. But I'm interested to hear, like, what did you think of the tone of Preacher? Because it's quite I would say divisive, but people absolutely love it. It's a very bold book.
It wasn't what I expected when I read it at the time, but like as I've kind of grown up and found what I enjoy more, like it really did. It does hit that right kind of sensibility that I have.
Yeah.
So I am one of those people who really loved it. I just haven't had time to pick it up or the money to pick up the next volume and read it on.
Yeah.
But then again, the show came along and I was like, do I just wait for the show? And I ended up just waiting for the show.
Yeah. Do you have any experience with that, Alex? I don't think you've read it before, have you?
Haven't read it and deliberately haven't started reading it since the show started. I watch it with my other half and she gets annoyed when we're watching things that I've read about anyway. when I obviously know what's going to happen next. It was bad enough with Game of Thrones, but yeah, we're really enjoying the show and the twists and turns in that they're good to get clean, fresh into it. I'm probably going to pick it up in the closed season and read start to finish. Because I think by that point it'll have diverged enough, or will be on its way to diverging from the books. It's usually what happens. But the show is, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean it's diverging's right. It kind of diverged a bit in the first episode because Jesse in the book, you know how that I don't want to spoil anything for you. And on this show we don't know what this thing is yet, so I'm going to talk around this a little bit. But the kind of spirit that comes and starts embodying people, like getting into people, it was just exploding dudes, and then Jesse survived it. And in the book, it goes into him, and he kind of erupts with this power that destroys his town. So he doesn't get to stay with his congregation. He goes on like a road trip, and it becomes like an on the road story. But the show made it so that when it went into Jesse, it didn't commit genocide. He's decided, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to finish what I came here to do, and I think it's a beneficial thing to do with the show because you want, well, practically speaking, you want to be able to reuse your sets, and you want to be able to have characters that reoccur. You can't really do that while you're completely fucking around, going all over the country and world looking for. I'm not going to spoil it. So I'm quite glad it's gone different. It makes it more interesting for someone who has read the books to see what they might do. Obviously, some of the same things are going to happen, and some of the same characters are going to crop up, but maybe in a different order. It'll have that Walking Dead type thing to it, where it keeps everyone guessing. Readers and non-readers alike, so that's pretty good. Yes, Ennis is a bit of a. He's a bit much.
Nutcase.
He's a bit much for me, Alex. Like, I don't know about you, Scott, because you said that you really liked the sort of sensibilities of it. But fuck me, he is. He's a little bit close to the bone sometimes, and. The show has moments of it, but I think is a bit more toned down. which I'm glad of because I've been kind of enjoying the vibe of it. Seems a bit more steady. I like the pacing quite a lot. It's quite deliberate, and you're getting into these characters a bit more, and it's less about the shock and awe. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. Anything else you guys want to say about Preacher so far? I mean, how much of it have you watched?
I've literally only had time to watch the pilot. Oh,
okay.
First episode. It's not really a pilot, is it? Got season order pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like because I knew obviously Dominic Cooper was Preacher. Like I was like, yes, awesome. I love Dominic Cooper. Yeah, if you read my Warcraft review on OurLives.net, you'll know I really enjoyed Dominic Cooper. Actually, I don't know if I put that in the review. I don't know. All right. No, but I knew that, but I didn't expect to see Rudy from Misfits in it. I was like, he's obviously Jesse, I think, is it the guy who drinks blood and then I'm out.
Cassidy.
Cassidy, that's it. Not Jesse's Preacher.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah,
I quite like
that was
it.
awesome.
I think that Cassidy's probably for me a better cast. I like Dominic Cooper as well, but he doesn't. He doesn't fit the role perfectly in my mind. He's I don't know what it is. I think he's just too nice. He's kind of a gentlemanly fellow. Maybe it's because I know he's a British guy. And
a little bit too good looking as well, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got. Maybe it's just that he isn't rocking a mullet in this. But it's just something's not quite right. Maybe he probably suits this version of Jesse more than the comic book version of Jesse because he's a bit, he is a slightly different character. But I like him. I just found it a little bit jarring to get used to him, I guess. Do you want to say anything else about Preacher?
No.
Let's crack on then.
It's good.
The other show we've been watching is friggin' Robert Kirkman's next cash cow, Outcast, with Glenn, what's his name? Hollister.
Philip Glenister.
I was well off.
You got the Glenn part.
And the Ister bit.
Yeah, it's going well.
From Life on Mars, weirdly. This is another one I'm like, it took me a little bit of getting used to this guy doing the American accent, but he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I got over that pretty quickly with it. I really did.
Good. What do you think about the general tone of this show, Alex?
I don't usually watch horror. My other half doesn't like it, so horror's usually off the table. But we both sat down a couple of days ago, batted through the first 2 episodes, and really like it. It seems well done for TV. Yeah, it's a different tone to a horror movie would be, but it's really well done on a TV budget. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, that first scene really I thought, I don't know if I can watch this.
Yeah, straight in.
I'm quite squeamish, and the way it opened, I don't really want to say because it's brand new and people might not have watched it yet, but it really kind of shows where they're willing to go with it. It's fucking grim what they do in the first 10 seconds. I was like, oh god, but it's really kind of well done.
I think it hits you with the shock aspect early doors and then eases off the gas again until the end of the episode, and then does exactly the same again in 2. I'm probably going to watch number 3 tonight and get exactly the same all over again.
What did you take from it, Scott?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, mate.
I did disappear for 2 weeks.
That's all right. Well, you
guys know this. But I am excited. I am a fan of Kirkman's Walking Dead. So, pitch it to me. Because I actually don't really know much about it.
If you like Walking Dead, mate, it's got a lot of similarities, down to the title sequence.
Really?
Honestly, my wife doesn't know that it's Robert Kirkman, but she knows Walking Dead. And we start watching Outcast, and I said, what do these titles remind you of? She goes, Walking Dead. Straight away, it's just got a lot of the I think they're deliberately just trying to evoke that similarity. It's got quite that same tone, but it is it is a very different story, and it's certainly.
So there's not a bunch of zombies walking around.
Mm,
Oh God, no!
not zombies. The basic premise is that people are being possessed by demons, and this is happening all over the world. And this is a world full of skeptical people who don't believe this. That they actually just think they're a load of mad people that live in the community. But when the good reverend comes around and starts doing exorcisms, things can get a little bit interesting. And Phil Glenister, thank you, Alex, is like the reverend, and he's got a little mate, and it's brilliantly it's brilliantly set up. He's a very mysterious background of something a little bit spiritual about him, but these demons, for want of a better word, they seem to be attracted to him. So he's got a history of them inhabiting people he cares about, and he always comes off looking quite bad because they'll inhabit one of his family, and when all the dust settles and the police come around, it looks like he's just beating them up and all these things, when he's actually just exorcised them, by accident or whatever. And so he's kind of learning who he is, and the good reverend takes him under his wing, and they start going out trying to kind of clean up the town a little bit. But this guy, what's his name, Alex? Can you remember? He's called the Outcast, yeah. But he is the Outcast. We don't know quite what that means. But he basically just, his version of an exorcism isn't to do any Latin or show anyone across. He just beats them up, just gets angry, just starts punching people, which is always fun when it's in the body of a 10-year-old kid or a grandma or something like that. So it's kind of entertaining in a bit of a sick way, and it puts him in a very sticky situation. But all of it is quite well in that way, well set up, because they show you a lot. You get a bit of his background, and they start drip feeding you how things went wrong for him. And he's got a cop brother-in-law who fucking hates him because he thinks he's like a wife beater and a child puncher. But he's not. He's actually kind of a decent guy who's just trying to sort of get through the day, and it's really. I really like the premise of it. It's very complex, very interesting, and the way they're approaching it is very kind of slow and deliberate, and showing you bits at a time, keeping all these little threads going, and it's interesting. I think I've watched 4 episodes now. I would encourage. I'm really glad it's coming, because Walking Dead has been upsetting me a bit lately. This seems to be the better show for me at the moment, so I think we ought to keep on with it.
No, I definitely want to check it out, obviously, but Preacher first, then I'll get on to Outcast.
Honestly, if you like this sort of shit that Ennis does, then just watch the first minute of Outcast episode
First minute,
1.
Okay, I'll do that.
Because you're just like, oh, okay, then this is for me, because I'm a sicko.
Oh, I'm not a. I'm words.